Hi everyone, ya sabes que Carlos Feta to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're going to be making a zucchini, egg, and feta casserole that is low carb and so delicious. I suggest that you make a double batch of this because it freezes well. The whole family is going to love it. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off with 4 zucchini that have been washed. We're just going to grate them using a box grater, but if you have a food processor with a grater attachment, by all means go ahead and use that. All right, so zucchini holds a lot of water, so this is a very crucial step. You want to sprinkle about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of salt over it and toss it to make sure that there's salt pretty much everywhere. This is going to help draw out the liquid, and then transfer it to a colander or a strainer and let it sit for about 10-15 minutes so that way most of the liquid is released. We're also going to press it out afterwards. Okay, so next we're going to prepare the remaining ingredients. So I have 6 scallions, also known as green onions here. I've already washed them really well, soaked them in water, made sure that the water went all the way through them, and then I strained them and drained the water out. I'm just going to thinly slice these all the way down to the white parts. And if you don't have scallions, you can definitely finely chop an onion instead of the scallions, and that will work. Okay, I'm going to set those aside. And since I'm chopping everything up, I'm going to chop up the herbs too. I have a little bit of mint. You need about a tablespoon or so of finely chopped mint. You can use basil, but I love the way mint and parsley and zucchini go together. But you can use your favorite herbs: dill, basil, parsley, mint, just parsley. You could also use some dried oregano instead, or some thyme. Then a handful of parsley. You're just going to finely chop it. Okay, so heat a skillet over medium heat, and it's time to cook the scallions. You can add about 3-4 tablespoons of really good quality olive oil, a little pinch of salt, and we're going to cook these for just a few minutes until they're nice and soft. 2-3 minutes probably. If you're cooking regular finely chopped onions, it's going to take about 7 to 8 minutes. Then I have 2 garlic cloves that I've grated. I'm just going to put them in the pot and just warm them through. When garlic cloves are so finely grated, if you warm it through too much, it'll burn and become bitter. So as soon as you can smell it and it's just spread out, it's perfect. And I'm going to add the zucchini to the pot. I couldn't move the camera quick enough to show you how I'm squeezing out the juices, but I'm basically just lifting handfuls of zucchini out and squeezing it over the bowl. If I move my camera, the garlic is going to burn. And I'm just going to warm this through a little bit so that way the remaining liquid that's in the zucchini kind of dries out. So we're just going to cook this over medium heat for about 4 to 5 minutes. And it's a better idea to get the heat a little bit higher, like medium high. So as the liquid is released, it can evaporate. And at this point, you can get some black pepper in here. All right, did I say 3 to 4 minutes to dry down the mixture? I really meant about 8 to 10 minutes. And I increased the heat to high underneath the pan, because I guess this burner isn't hot enough, so that way everything can dry up and the zucchini doesn't melt and fall apart. I'm going to set this aside right now, but before I move on, I do want to show you how much liquid was released from the zucchini, and if I were to let it sit in the salt and in the strainer longer, it would probably release a little bit more, and the pan frying step would be shorter. So don't skip that step. Now I'm going to add the herbs to the pan. Oh my goodness, when those herbs hit the hot zucchini, it just smells amazing. And I have 6 ounces of feta cheese. Always buy it in the block form. I'm just going to crumble that so that way the mixture will cool down a little bit faster. If you want to dice up a roasted red pepper or 2, you can throw that in here as well. My goodness, I could smell it. And I'm going to give it a little taste to check the seasoning. It tastes perfect. It doesn't need any more salt. I didn't add any more salt to it other than what I added while it was draining. I'm also gonna add a little bit of dried dill, about a heaping teaspoon. If you're using fresh dill, you can do about a little bunch of it, like a 1/4 cup, and finely chop it. So in a bowl, I'm gonna add 6 large eggs. You can do 6 to 8. I'm gonna add a few crushed red pepper flakes. You can leave them out if you don't like the heat. I also have a 1/4 cup of sour cream. You can do milk if you don't care about leaving this low carb, or heavy cream. And I am gonna add a little more salt, maybe half a teaspoon. Salt this to however you prefer. If you like your food less salty, put less salt. And then go ahead and whisk everything all up. I'm just gonna add a little bit of olive oil to a 9 by 13 inch baking pan, maybe like 2 tablespoons or so. This is gonna help the egg release later on. Just brush it all around. You can use butter or pan spray instead. And I'm using a glass baking dish, but I prefer a metal or ceramic because I have had glass shatter in the oven before, and that's not fun. Okay, so technically you should wait for the zucchini mixture to cool, but I'm just gonna add a little bit at a time to temper the eggs. And I'm actually gonna get rid of the whisk and just stick to the spatula because all the filling will get stuck in between the whisk. I'll just add the rest of it to the baking tray. And to make it a little bit more rich, I'm putting some shredded mozzarella cheese. You can use shredded or grated white cheddar or a combination of mozzarella and Parmesan. This is gonna give it that stringy, cheesy, good texture, and that's it. It's ready for the oven. The oven is preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. This is gonna bake on the center rack for about 25 minutes. Then I'm gonna take it out, let it rest and cool for about 15 minutes, and it'll be ready to serve. The zucchini, egg, and feta tray is ready. Now, it took exactly 25 minutes in my oven. I took it out. You can serve this at room temperature. You could serve this warm, cold, however your heart desires. It's really nice picnic food if you want to pack something to take with you. I would serve this just as is with a nice salad, maybe some cauliflower rice on the side. You can serve this in a sandwich if you're not keeping it low carb, like I said before. Tzatziki is a must. I'm going to make some right after I finish wrapping up this video, but it is time for the taste test. It's light, it's creamy, has sort of the flavors of a spanakopita. The salty, creamy feta cheese is just delicious. It's kind of like in between a souffle and a frittata. If you like both of those, you're gonna love this. I think you guys are gonna love it. Like I said, if you're making it for the freezer, fully bake it like we just did right here. Once it cools completely, you can cut it into squares or circles and then freeze it just like that. Or you could wrap the whole tray in plastic, freeze it for up to a month, thaw it out, and then just toast it in the oven for about 5 minutes at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll have dinner on the table in no time. I hope you guys give this a try. The recipe can be printed out on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. If you want to learn how to make tzatziki to serve with this, click over here, and I'll see you right over there. Yes,